When the pandemic was announced on March 15, 2020, I wasn't surprised. Working in the Middle East let me experience handling patients with H1N1, MERS-CoV, SARS, the avian flu virus, and the foot and mouth disease. And with what has been going on from the news, I wasn't surprised that it's going to be big, something big, and it's going to be pandemic. It's just because I'm a frontliner. The fear that I had was with the family that I left behind in the Philippines, because they belong to the two groups that are vulnerable, the young and the old groups of people, and they have not been on that situation, being together with kids and being at that age with my parents. They are not well prepared with the online access when we think about ordering things because of the lockdown and the quarantine. I can only compare my work as much as the same when I worked here in the Philippines. However, the only thing that made me keep it together is because I just followed what has been instructed by the administration in the hospital. Working as a frontliner, it did not give us the option to stop or to refuse working. It is either we just go home or stay. And it was like about whether we leave or we fight, handling patients with COVID or those who are positive in coronavirus. And that's the main thing that I can only recall when the pandemic started. I just thought that it's a part of my job, and for as long as you know the basics, key point as working in the medical field as a frontliner, knowing the basics, you will definitely know what to avoid and what to do with this kind of situation. With managing myself, my time, there wasn't any huge change. I just continue. I carried on what I do. The only thing that was added to it was the daily routine of wearing the face shield and the face mask. But what I have been doing inside my flat on my rest days when I'm not working, I just continued as is. I even encourage other people and my colleagues, my friends, to do what I've been doing, and that is planting and taking care of indoor plants, cleaning more frequently than I used to, because I'm working with a community where we accept patients coming from different areas of Saudi Arabia. So it's a center. We're not taking care of patients that stays longer than 4 hours. We take patients and they go, because I work in a dialysis center. We take them, we dialyze them for 4 hours, and then we take another patient, and then there is a day where we could accept more than 5 new patients that came from different areas or cities of Saudi Arabia. And just being more cautious and being more cleaner than what I used to be, like adding the routine of before going inside my room, I have to remove my clothes and segregate what I've used from work and what I've used from my house clothes. And basically that's it. And encouraging other people to express themselves, because I understand that it's a lot of effect for other people, and like I can only compare it affected me emotionally for the people that I left in the Philippines, but I can see with other people, my colleagues, it affected them more than that. So I belong to the group where I educate my colleagues and I train them, and for those who are new staff coming from different countries, it became my responsibility to be a role model of heading off on how to teach other people and how to how do you call this, how to express themselves and how to let other people feel welcome, because this is the time where a lot of people just wanted to go home. They just wanted to be with their families. The best contribution that I can see, and until now is applicable, is abiding to what the government is asking us to do, wearing the face mask and wearing the face shield. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, there's already vaccine. Vaccine itself does not say that you will never be infected. It is a preparation. They introduce the basic principle of vaccination is they introduce the virus to your system so that your system can recognize the infection, and it helps you prepare on certain symptoms like what we see on other people, and the effect depends on the underlying illnesses that the infected person already has. So it's vague. You cannot say that something came up just because of this kind of vaccination. However, it is like still following the rules of social distancing, more of hand washing, because really hand washing, like me as working in the medical field, it is very important to us. Even if I touch, we have these 5 moments of hand hygiene before we touch the patient, after we touch the patient, after we touch the patient's surroundings, and after we engage to procedure to the patient, and after doing the procedure to the patient, we do the 5 moments of hand hygiene. So hand hygiene is really important. Plus, we have to adhere with social distancing and wearing of face mask until such that the WHO did not clear that pandemic is over. Even if you are vaccinated, that does not mean that you will never be infected. You are going to be a good carrier, a good host, because you don't have the symptoms anymore. Your body recognized the possible infection, but you can pass it on easily to other people, especially other people are no longer wearing face masks and face shields. So I think that's the most important thing: hand washing, wearing a face shield, and wearing a face mask, and social distancing. Just keeping it that way until the pandemic has been cleared off. The most stressful part working as a frontliner is wearing the face mask all the time, mind you, when I was in Saudi Arabia, it was difficult for us because of the lockdown, total lockdown, including the airport, which means that medical supplies that are coming from different countries are not that easily passable or can enter Saudi Arabia. So we can only use whatever resources or whatever supplies we have. And there was a time when we are running out of face masks, gloves, and face shield, that we have to wear the same face mask for the whole 12-hour shift, and only until if it's soiled. So I experienced having a lot of mask acne on the area where I have to cover myself with mask, but there's nothing else I can do. The only thing that I have to do is to adapt and to think about something that would help me. So what I did was I actually hand sewn a lot of face mask and tried on whatever is suitable, the kind of fabric that's suitable for me. And since because it doesn't adhere with the policy of the center that I was working with, I have to still wear the surgical face mask. I have to put on a protection through my skin before I put on my face mask, because that relieves the acne that I was having from wearing the face mask for 12 hours. So that's the only that's the most challenging part. With the patients, it's given, it's a normal reaction for them to frequently ask things, and it's a part of my job to educate the patients and to reassure them. But however, the only thing is that it's the wearing of face mask. Even with the patients that they are saying they are negative, they're not infected, I have to actually scare them, telling them, which is true, telling them that we are accepting different patients from different areas of Saudi Arabia, and we do not know, even us, the staff, we do not know who has the virus. There are times that I experienced having the swab twice because of different patients. After the end of the session, we found out that they're positive on the sense of seeing the symptoms only until we receive the result from the hospital where we transfer the patient that they're actually positive. So it's about keeping some of the staff isolated and then leaving other staff who have been working for how many days without off. It is a challenge. So for me, that was it's dealing with how we work together. That's the most challenging part of it. It's not actually fighting against the virus. It's the work itself, how each of us has to keep it up to work as a team. During the lockdown, I was still in Saudi Arabia. I cannot say that they did not. I cannot even say that they did. What I can only say is that it was dealt accordingly. There are some laps where I could only comment, but it's just because I'm not here in the Philippines to say, because I did not experience it. However, there were things that should have been done, but just because, from my understanding, our country is not ready to face the pandemic at when it was announced, because it was the moment when a lot of projects are being developed, are being passed on, are being planned. And then the pandemic came, and we all know that the number one problem that the Philippines has is the financial problem. And we're not ready to have additional problem, because our country always face typhoon, for example. We always face that on certain months. But how come we always have the same problem? So that goes with having the same problem over and over again for the past how many years, and I can still remember that when I was still younger. And then you add the pandemic. So it doesn't make sense that you say it was good, it was bad, but it was dealt in a way that this is the resources that we have at the moment. Compared to other countries, actually we did a good thing in segregating